This is exciting. Marylu, you are on the board of United Ag. I think you joined last year or 2 years now that you've been on the board of United Ag. And being part of the WomenAg Leadership, and Good Farms came into United Ag and became a member 2 years ago. So super excited to have you on the board in the WomenAg Academy and now as a guest on the podcast. Welcome to This is Ag.
Thank you. Wow, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah. Give it your introduction. So what do you do?
So I work in human resources and our H2A program, manage our human resources in California and oversee the recruitment process for our H2A program in Mexico, as well as here in California.
Nice. So how does that work if somebody from a non-ag person, so that falls as HR, right? I mean, that's a role that you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it falls under human resources. And from that, it's actually kind of fell on my lap, but I accepted it. I love challenges. I like to grow in what I learn. So it was a great opportunity for me. For us, it was 9 years ago. So that we decided to venture into the H2A program and we incorporated that in with our current human resource processes. And it worked out well. That was the idea and the plan.
And sometimes people outside of agriculture, they don't realize, right, how HR is very different in agriculture versus people in other industries. Human resources has a lot of different things under it in the ag umbrella.
Definitely. It's the human connection and trying to explain to our workforce in a language that they understand how law has changed, why it is that it needs to be implemented for their safety as well, and understanding how now California law works and words that they can also understand and help us. And that's been my goal throughout my 10 years now at Good Farms.
So what does Good Farms do? What do you guys do?
We grow strawberries. We are a shipper grower for here in California and in Mexico.
Okay. And how big is Good Farms?
Good Farms in California, we can reach up to 2,000 employees. In Mexico, I want to say it's about 3,000.
Oh, nice. It's a big group. It's a large group for us. So, Marylu, what made you get into this? Why Good Farms? Why agriculture to begin with? Why did you choose to be in ag?
So this started for me now 27 years ago. I started my family, my parents' strong background in agriculture. Actually, my father's father had a farm here also locally. I remember being small with another nephew running around the ranch and actually putting water in one of the tractors. Those little, we were young, probably 5 years old, 6 years old. And from there, my parents, then they started working also. My dad he's retired. That was a farm supervisor. And my mom was one of the very first female forepersons in the industry here in the local area. So hearing them talk about it at the dinner table and just picking up as I was growing up was part of a lot of at their company that they worked for, that they also had strong culture of having employee involvement with soccer games and barbecues. So I was able, as I was growing up, met the owners. One particular person who I would consider my mentor as a teenager at that time, who came asking my mom about me to work as a payroll clerk in the office during high school to see what I was doing, what were my plans. She brought me under her wing and I started just as a high school summer job. What really stood out from that for me was helping employees as they come in, understanding their check stub. And one thing that this person had instilled in me is even if we had to bring out beans, counting and just explaining, because we wanted to make sure that our workforce there also understood what their checks meant and that no one felt that anything was ever missed from their paycheck.
So that connection that you made at that point when 19 years old, that stayed with you. And that's the reason you decided that's important to you, right? Knowing you, I know that is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helped me just see going out to the fields. I would also be as a clerk helping, handing out checks, seeing the work entailed in what they were doing, our employees, strawberry harvesters, is just heartbreaking. And being there for them and helping them as much as they can just for me gave a different perspective to the human of human resources.
Right, right, right. That's, I think anybody I talk to in this industry, right, that we serve, the human part is so important. And that's the taking care of your employees and what that means. And looks like your mom started that. So what was her story to be the first? That's an awesome thing. So can you tell us what her story was?
Yes, she had quite the struggle. Picturing a female back in mid 90s. Yeah, in the mid 90s with a macho male within our culture in the past more. I mean, now it's different, but definitely back then, have someone female tell you what to do was a hard situation for her from what I could remember. And one thing that she always relied on, though, was on the employee handbook. That's one thing that really stood out for me as I was working also now. And it was actually even in the same office. She was out in the fields. I was in the office, my parents, and knowing they taught me how to be professional. And although I had my parents there, that line was very set in sand that they were not my parents during work. So that also, they instilled that. So just hearing her situations and how to be professional in any I mean, to me, it just you be professional in any atmosphere. Everything that I would hear about her situation with employees, just maintain that focus on professionalism.
Mm-hmm. She seems to be a very strong lady and an influence in your life. So I know you are part of our WomenAg Academy, and the whole passion, right? The reason I started WomenAg Academy was very similar to people like your mom and how people can get inspired by that. And we create like a community that we inspire each other. So what made you join the WomenAg Academy?
So for me, it was a personal and professional. Honestly, when I first joined, it was more professional. I needed a space where I could speak up. That continues to be hard for me. It sounds off that it would be, but it's how to be more public speaking and be able to express what I know, because I know the work I'm doing, it's explaining it to a larger audience. But through Women in Ag, now on our fourth year, I've definitely learned more than just that. I've learned to express my emotion of what I do and be able to communicate that better.
So what is your favorite part of WomenAg?
It's the connections we've created because yes, within everyone on our team, our sessions. I mean, there's a strong core group now for the 4 years. And with them, it's hearing their perspectives that they're also a mom, that they're professional, that we all have other multitasking. We all multitask, there's responsibilities. And even though that it's okay to make a mistake and accept it and find a solution and move on. That's been the best self-care. We forget, I think, as a female workforce, that we evolve. We want to grow so much and work and family, but we also want to make sure, definitely one thing I've learned is to take care of myself and give me that time to be able to come back stronger.
Right. I think that's one of the things that we've found consistently with the new WomenAg leaders who join, who've been with us for a long time. When you take care of yourself or give time to yourself, there's some sense of guilt in that. And we've learned not to feel that guilt. And the other part is, like you said, the community. We've created such a trusting group of women leaders, and it's awesome to be part of that group. It's also really, for me personally, Marylu, I am excited when you accepted, when I asked you to serve on the board of directors of United Ag, and you accepted that. I was super excited because I'd seen you in the WomenAg Academy, and I'd seen the way kind of your approach to leadership and putting the human at center of everything. That's first and foremost the most important thing for you. So from your end, what was attractive about United Ag, and why did you accept that role?
So from United Ag, it started with COVID. All our industry was struggling, as you are well aware, on finding the first clinics or resources for our employees to get the vaccination. And although we were not part of United Ag at that point, the openness to provide us with those resources, because we had an external grower that is with us as well and recommended you to us. When I reached out, I mean, it was no questions asked other than, yeah, here's the process, send them in. And seeing that human aspect of being in a pandemic really was great to see. So then from that point, that's when I looked into more on your website, found the Women in Ag session, and learned more about what United Ag has to offer, which falls well with our culture at Good Farms.
Yeah, because I think the whole reason with United Ag and creating this association health plan, I know we have employers part of it, we have members part of it, but overall, our goal, as me in my role, you as a board of director, is to give back to the community, right? So when this happened in COVID, we are all frontline workers and we didn't know what was happening. So if anybody needed help, United was there to help. So that was the reason behind that. But I'm so glad we made that connection, because what you offer the board and the Women Ag Academy and being just part of United Ag has been inspirational, and it's just good to have like-minded people part of that family. So thank you for doing that.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything. And also with our resources for our farm workers when we did our resource fair. Our resource fair. So just seeing how it was all hands on deck for one of our different districts, Oxnard, Santa Maria, Watsonville, that was great. Our employees have been feeling that as well.
So when you think of your role, and just talking in light of Women Ag and United Ag, and your passion comes across in serving. So as you go through your day-to-day life, and I know you have a team and you're working with your employees, what makes a day fulfilling for you?
Oh, for me, it's training, being able to see my staff just grow, succeed. If we're talking about a new law, every couple of months we have something new. So just reaching out to my teams and explaining that, and now hearing them say, yes, like it's no questions asked technically, as far as pushback, isn't. You get that at times at offices, but the staff has been great in just taking in the information, creating the agenda or the meeting notes for the crews, and going out and explaining it, and just getting the feedback of questions that we get from our employees, whatever the topic may be. It's just great to see that for me.
That makes it fun. That makes life. So if I were to ask you, so I think you answered it. It's like, what brings you joy at work, right? That's what it is, helping the employees grow in their position. And even I think the employees on the fields, right? And how much amount you do spend a lot of time trying to understand their perspective from some of the stories that I've heard, because you're not treating the employees as just employees. You're trying to understand what their individual stories are, and then taking that into consideration when you have compliance and other things that you need to work on, right? That's how I understand it. So there is something I noticed in the human resources part of agriculture is, I think we spend more time understanding from an employee perspective, understanding what is it that they are going through, right? Including, I know it's not a compliance thing, but including, I know a lot of employees share personal stuff of what's going on in their at home and stuff like that, and they bring that to the work. And we listen, right? Isn't one of your jobs is just listen with a lot of empathy and kind of helping them and then kind of making that work for the company?
Yes, it goes back to, again, that fine line and explaining that to employees, to our staff, our foremen, supervisors, because you do hear a lot and it is a lot of, for HR being out, it's good practice, at least for me, to go visit the farms and walk the fields and talk to as many people as possible to really see and understand how the information that we've sent out, how it was received, and to see how we can readjust, whether it's a safety program, if it's something with our pay, just any issues or concerns, or even ideas. I mean, we have a monthly meeting where we bring in employees from different job tasks that meet with operations, their operations supervisor also, and hearing them and finding best way to resolve conflict resolution in a positive way that we established through the Equitable Food Initiative, EFI. So we do that also with them. And I think that's why that also became a platform for me when I transitioned, because when I worked for Dole in payroll and then came over to Dole for human resources. And that helped me grow and understand, that part of it, to take into an account every job position and how they do the work because of the complaints you hear. So it's really important in HR to understand all of the background of each job to be able to then resolve the issue, where usually it can almost, I want to say it's just misunderstanding, misinformation. And once you clarify it, then they themselves find the best solution to resolve it.
Do you find that when you're going through this, is there a conflict that sometimes happens in your brain where you have, from a compliance, you need to do certain things and you hear stories and you're like, oh, I want to be empathetic towards this person because they have stories that kind of hit your heart, right? And your gut. And it's like really sad, some of them. How do you balance that? That must be difficult.
It is. It is difficult to hear a bad situation happening at home. So what we focus with the employee, depending on their background or what we have here in their history file, we review and we provide the resources we can to help if it's in our reach. If it's an extreme situation where it's just on our policy, we have stated just it's not something that unfortunately we have to suspend them for, then we just explain. We still provide the resources that they may need based on their situation, but we do explain to them that the policy is the policy and we need to follow it, because at the end, they all, fairness with everyone, and that we have to, if someone else had a similar situation, it's across the board. So they understand. And that's why also for us, orientations and these meetings that we have and trainings in the fields are critical. And that's one thing that I emphasize with the staff when they're hiring a new employee, is to please review the policies and that there are resources that they can call in confidentiality, or they want to come in and talk to someone about something before it gets to a point where it would affect them negatively.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because I go through this even from a UNIDAC standpoint, right? So when an appeal comes in or you're looking at a claim and you're thinking from a compliance, from a financial standpoint, this is what the decision needs to be. And then the human side comes in and you're thinking, what if I was in that shoes? How would I want somebody to treat me? There's always all that conflict. It's a thin balance to balance that. Do you find that there is anxiety and mental health issues right now? And because this is a lot of anxiety going on, right? Do you see that at all?
With the workforce, well, right now we do with immigration.
Yeah, that's a big, that's sitting on your head, right? Everybody's head. Yeah.
That one's been the hot topic. Actually, last week we just did our supervisor 4-person training and I was there to speak about that. And they were all nervous just for the workforce, for everybody, everything they've heard on social media. I think social media is one of the worst contributors to this mental health of what they hear. And now that I actually think about it even more, I mean, right now, because of immigration and what they've been hearing through social media, but in the past, COVID was another situation that really we saw after it, the repercussions with mental health and the anxiety aspect of it, with losses, family dying, friends. So it depends on, each situation. But it's the communication that, I'm an advocate of. We want to make sure before we document anything, write up on an employee, okay, what did we provide for this employee? I don't want to just say, okay, well, you did this wrong and there's no way going back if we didn't provide the right training and the right resources for them to avoid that situation.
Yeah, the COVID was a big issue. And yeah, there's always something, right? And I think one of the good things, though, that came out of COVID was it was okay to talk about mental health and provide that resources, because before that, it was a little bit of a taboo. And now it's like, when needed, people raise their hand and say, okay, I think I need this. So that's been a good thing. So Marylu, anything that you can say as a message to our Spanish listeners, because I have a few.
Yes, I can. So, lo que puedo mencionar en estando en recursos humanos, lo que he aprendido con los recursos es muy importante utilizar uno como mujer, en esta industria, todos los recursos que estén a tu mano, no pensar que algo no es alcanzable. Todo lo podemos lograr pidiendo ese apoyo y utilizando nuestros recursos que están a la mano. Con lo que fue las mujeres en United Ag, que tuvimos ese liderazgo, oportunidad de crecimiento, leyendo libros, platicando experiencias de la vida y del trabajo, que es importante para nosotras, las mujeres que somos mamás y profesionales en nuestras carreras de crecimiento, queriendo crecer más y encontrar el balance que ocupamos para poder lograrlo, porque hay que no olvidarnos de nosotras.
Nice. I didn't understand anything that you said. So what did you talk about?
Just that in human resources, that we need to be able to be open-minded and utilize all the resources we have, whether
nice.
or not. And also that as females, what I learned in the United Ag Women's Leadership, that we also need to be able to ask for help and trying to all and balance being a mom, family, and also professional and growing our careers, not to forget about us. Yeah.
That's a great message to end with. I think, we tend to lose ourselves with everything that we have to do. And we feel it's hard for people to ask for help. I've noticed, even we just had a conversation at United Ag earlier today in our Emerging Leaders program, and people struggle, people go through mental health issues or other concerns and stuff, and then they don't raise their hand and say, I need help. So I think that's the most important thing, even as leaders, that we can do, right? Provide a culture where it's okay to do that. And we ourselves kind of role model that and say, I need help. Oh.
Yes, definitely. That is definitely my learning experience in these last 4 years.
Yeah. So thank you, Marylu, for being a part of coming in as a guest on This is Ag, and for everything that you do for not just for United Ag and in WomenAg, but for the ag industry overall, because it's really important to have leaders like you in the industry we serve. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this great opportunity and all your help too. You've helped me a lot.
Thanks.